The old range house wasn't on the main schedule anymore. Too warped, too weathered. Doorways splintered from 100 training boots. The plywood walls still carried the dents of sim rounds from 15 years back. But the instructors kept it standing. Not for drills, for memory. And every week around sunset, a man sat in the rusted observation tower above it. Same time, same chair, same silence. Nobody introduced him. He wasn't on staff. Didn't wear rank or uniform. Just a long-sleeved navy shirt, sleeves rolled neat, and the kind of jeans you don't buy new, only inherit from years of doing work that never needed attention. Most trainees ignored him. Some joked. "He's probably just range safety," someone said. "Counting our misses? He blinked when I ran my entry drill. Should I be worried?" Another smirked. The man never responded. Never even looked down. But one evening, as Hernandez walked back from a breacher run, gear half-slung, pulse still high, he caught the man watching something. Not the building. Not the targets. The wind. There wasn't much of it, but the man's gaze followed it like it mattered, like he'd learned to read it through walls. Hernandez slowed, hesitated, then kept walking. That night, after chow, he circled back to the tower on foot. No one else around. The sun already behind the treeling. The man was still there, still seated. No radio. No scope. Just resting his forearms on his knees, eyes fixed on the house below like it still held something unfinished. Hernandez almost called out, but didn't. Something about the posture told him the man wasn't just watching, he was remembering. It started during warm-ups. Cadet Raines, tall, loud, good with a shotgun and better with an audience, pointed up at the tower during gear check. "There he is," he grinned. "Range Grandpa. What's he logging? Dust patterns." A couple of guys chuckled. Instructor Bell didn't look up. Didn't say anything either. Just handed Raines the timer remote. "Run it." Raines blinked. "Full house?" "Full house. One run. All lanes." The old range house had 4 interior corridors. No AI targets, no sensors. Just wooden silhouettes and a manual score sheet at the end. It was the original course, before digital overlays, before body cams, before shortcuts. Raines nodded, slung his gear, and entered on the buzz. Shots rang out in bursts, fast, confident, loud. Hernandez stood outside with the others, arms crossed, watching the range clock. The wind picked up again. Gentle, but strange, not across the field. Down into the structure, curling past the tower and slipping through the angled vents of the walls. The man didn't move. Didn't look. Just leaned forward slightly, elbows on knees. Like he already knew how the run would go. Raines burst out the side door 1:43 later. Grinning. "Clean sweep," he said. Bell didn't reply. Just walked in with a clipboard and returned a few minutes later, expression flat. 2 misses? 1 no clear." "What? Where?" "Lane 3 corner blind." "Those don't count." "They do if you enter it." Raines glanced back toward the tower. The man was still there, still silent, still watching. That's when Hernandez saw it again, the faintest motion. The man raised one hand and pointed once, casually, at the 3rd lane, then lowered it. No judgment, just memory. Raines turned away. Didn't say another word. 2 nights later, Hernandez stayed behind. The instructors were gone. Tower lights dark. But the lower range shed was still open, the place where they kept the old scoring boards and timer remotes. He wasn't looking for anything in particular. Just, pulled maybe. Something about the way the man had pointed. The way he hadn't corrected Raines, or smirked, or spoken. Just a quiet gesture, like someone revisiting an old road and knowing exactly where the curve still lies. Hernandez found the backup clipboard first, plastic cracked at the edge, paper yellowed with age. Inside, dozens of logs, all handwritten. No names. Only times. He flipped back 10, maybe 15 years, then stopped. A column labeled Q.B.R, confirmed/unconfirmed. Only one entry had no confirmation initials beside it. Time, 58.71 seconds. Under. Shooter. No name. Just a short mark, carved into the paper itself, not written. He slid the paper aside and examined the wooden edge of the timer box itself, the one mounted to the wall. And there it was, etched deep into the grain, just below the latch. 1 shot run. No redo. Q.B.R. He didn't know what the initials meant yet, but the pressure behind the phrase stayed with him. He closed the clipboard, placed it back in the drawer, and stepped outside. The range was silent. But the tower wasn't empty. There, under moonlight, sat the man. Same seat. Same posture. Still watching the house like it might start breathing again. Hernandez looked up. Really looked this time. The man's boots were planted like he hadn't moved for hours, and resting beside his foot was a folded patch. Hernandez couldn't see the design. Just the color. Deep gray. No unit name. No rank. No claim. The next morning, Hernandez returned to the tower before first light. No one else around. The instructors hadn't unlocked the gates yet. He climbed the old steel steps slow, half expecting to be stopped. He wasn't. The man wasn't there either. Just the chair. And the patch. Folded neatly, sitting on the edge of the seat, weighed down by a single 9mm shell casing, spent, polished. Hernandez picked it up carefully. The patch was small. No backing. Frayed at the corner. Gray cloth. No country. No flag. Just 3 stitched letters. Q.B.R. He turned it over. Faint ink marks on the back. Maybe a signature once, but too faded now to read. He pocketed it. Later, during break, he found Instructor Bell outside the main bay, checking run orders. "Sir, what does Q.B.R. stand for?" Bell didn't answer right away, then said, "Where'd you hear that?" "Found it in the tower." Bell looked at him hard. Not angry. Not surprised either. "It means quiet. But ready. Is that a unit?" "No." "Then what is it?" Bell exhaled through his nose. Wiped his hands on his vest. "It's something a few of them used to say. The ones who didn't flash rank or carry war stories around. The ones who cleared the hardest rooms and never logged a single kill." He paused. "Not because they didn't take the shot, but because they only needed one." Hernandez nodded. Didn't speak. He reached into his pocket and handed Bell the patch. Bell held it for a moment, then folded it again and placed it gently back into Hernandez's palm. "Keep it," he said. "You asked quiet? That's rare." Hernandez didn't show the patch to anyone. Didn't wear it. Didn't bring it up. But after that day, every time he walked past the old range house, his eyes drifted up to the tower. Empty now. Always empty. But never forgotten. One afternoon, while helping reset target silhouettes, he saw Instructor Bell alone inside the scoring shed. A clipboard open, pen in hand, and an old black binder next to it, thicker than the usual logs. Hernandez hesitated at the door. "Sir?" Bell looked up, his face unreadable, but his hand stopped moving. "What's that book?" Hernandez asked. Bell didn't answer. Just turned the cover slightly so Hernandez could read the spine. Q.B.R. Archive. No seal. No command name. No classification tag. Inside, rows of handwritten entries. Some names. Some just symbols. Some, like the one Hernandez found, marked only by time and date. Hernandez asked the question without speaking. Bell answered anyway. "It's not official." "Then why keep it?" Bell tapped the edge of the page with the pen. "Because someone needs to remember who cleared the room when no one was watching." He closed the binder gently. "Lock the strap. And when that time comes, they don't need medals." "What do they need?" Bell stood. "Permission to walk away." He placed the binder back into a drawer, slid it shut, and turned off the overhead light. Outside, the wind was picking up again. Through the slats of the old range house wall, the breeze shifted the old curtains, torn, stained with training soot, but still hanging. Still there. Still waiting. It wasn't scheduled. No roster slot. No prep team. No range master call-out. But one night, the lights in the old range house flicked on after hours. Just for a moment. Hernandez was walking back from late maintenance checks when he saw it through the trees. A low amber glow from inside, like someone was testing the system. He jogged closer. No instructors. No recruits. Just the house humming. He stepped quietly up the gravel path. The side door was open, swinging slightly in the wind. Inside, the paper silhouettes were up. All 4 lanes. Fresh targets. Clean boards. And on the timer box, blinking faintly, "Standby Q.B.R." No one else saw it. No one ran the time. But when he returned the next morning, all 4 silhouettes had single impact marks, 1 shot each. No overs. No doubles. No misses. The paper still hung clean around each one. No drag. No stray hits. Just 4 clean center mass entries. He checked the clipboard. No log. No initials. But someone had written something in pencil, directly on the top edge of the board. Not a name. Just a phrase. Not for time. For clarity. He didn't erase it. Didn't log it. Just turned off the tower light, closed the door, and left the range silent behind him. The instructors noticed before the recruits did. Hernandez had changed. He didn't rush his entries anymore. Didn't treat the old range house like a test. More like a memory someone else left behind. A place you move through with respect. He started showing up early, and staying late. Not to train harder, but to walk the gravel path beneath the tower. Just once. Every day. Just before sunset. He'd pause beneath the steel steps. Not long. Maybe 30 seconds. Then move on. The others joked at first, saying goodnight to the old ghost, but they didn't laugh much after they watched his run. No instructor timed him. No one filmed it. He just moved through each room once, cleared his corners, stepped light, held his shots longer than most would dare, and still landed clean. Instructor Bell watched from the tower that day, the only time he took the seat. When Hernandez stepped out the far end of the house, Bell didn't nod, didn't clap. He just stood, left a shell casing on the rail, and walked down without a word. Later that week, a new recruit asked Hernandez what the tower was for. Used to be for timers, he said. And now? Hernandez looked up at the empty seat, then looked away. Now it just holds still. The recruit frowned. But why is it even there? Hernandez pulled something from his vest, the patch. Q.B.R. He didn't hand it over. Didn't explain it. He just said, some things don't need replacing. They just need remembering. That night, when the others hit chow, Hernandez stayed behind. Walked the length of the range once more. Checked the doors. Listened to the wind in the walls. Then climbed halfway up the tower steps, and stopped. Taped beneath the third riser, hidden under rust and years of dust, he found something. A small slip of paper, folded 4 times. The edges gone soft from time. He opened it. 5 words, ink faded but still legible. Clear the room. Leave quiet. Not a command. A ritual. And it was his now. The range lights cut out early that night. No one stayed past drill hours. No instructors in the tower. No recruits walking the gravel path. Just stillness, and the faint creak of wind moving through the vent gaps in the house. But Hernandez didn't go home. He stayed behind in the shadows, just past the edge of the lot. Waiting. Not for someone to arrive, but for the moment to settle. He stepped into the house one last time. Not to shoot, not to clear. Just to walk it in silence. To trace each corner, each breech frame, each place where 100 men had fired and moved and gone on to the next. Except one hadn't. One had returned to the tower. Not to rerun it, but to watch over it. When he reached the far door, he looked back. The whole structure glowed slightly in the moonlight, soft around the edges, like a memory you can't prove happened, but still feel. Then he climbed the tower, slower than usual. Not out of caution, out of weight. Legacy doesn't ride on shoulders. It sits behind the chest. At the top, the chair was still there. So was the old railing. He didn't sit. He just stood over it, and unzipped the chest pocket of his uniform. Removed the patch. Q.B.R. Edges frayed, threads loosening. He set it on the rail gently. Then took a casing, one he'd carried since that clean run 3 weeks ago. The shot he never took. The one he held when the last silhouette was already surrendered. He placed the casing on the patch, pressed it down with one hand, and stood back. He didn't need a picture. Didn't need proof. The act itself was the marker. He turned to leave, but paused halfway down the steps and looked back at the rail. And for just a second, the wind lifted the edge of the patch, like a hand nodding once before letting go. No farewell. No signature. Just silence. He stepped off the last stair, and walked across the range without looking back.